Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of Big Ben's Movie Show. I'm your host, Big Ben. This week on the show, we got a lot of cool stuff. We're going to talk about recasting icons of film, characters that have been around forever, and we love who plays them, but you're going to have to recast them sooner or later. We're also going to be talking about Marvel. They've got a big TV whoopsie, a little TV blunder. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to be reviewing Kingsman, and helping me with all that is Jason Allen, my guest host for this week. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to be here once again.
This is your third time? Fourth
time?
Number three.
Yes.
Number three. 2 more times, and you don't get a 5-timers jacket because we don't have any money.
That's why I was doing this. I'm leaving.
It's the whole point is to get a jacket at some point. Yeah.
It's getting cold out too.
There's no windbreakers. There's no nothing coming. Yeah. You get a jacket when I get a jacket, which is also never.
Fair.
So there you go.
Fair.
All right. Well, let's get right into the headlines for this week. Here we go. It's the big headline is It. Even though there's new movies coming out every week, they're kind of secondary news right now because It is a monster, and not just what kind of movie it is. It's making a pile of money. The first week it did something like 120 million. This week it didn't fall super far. It only fell down to about 60 million. Still whooping everything else for the weekend.
Well, I think you're getting a lot of repeat business because a lot of people are huge fans of the book and the original film to begin with, and I think they're getting their nostalgia and dragging their friends after they've seen it.
Well, and now the next generation, the new young generation of fans who maybe didn't see the original one, because let's face it, when he was back in like 1991, there's a lot of kids who were born around that time. That are now in their late 20s, and now they're going to go see it with their friends. And then, of course, now you have this whole new block of teenagers. And horror this year has really blown up to be the hot genre because these movies are cheap to make. It only cost around 30 to 40 million and is now making just piles of money. Sequel, of course, was already greenlit before they even made the movie, just because instead of like they did with the original where they told both chapters in the original one where you saw them as kids and you saw them as adults. They're not doing that with this one. The first one you saw them as kids. The second one we'll get to see mostly a whole new cast as they bring in the adults. So that should be a fun part for that movie too. Have you seen it yet?
I sure have.
You have.
I had a minor quibble. I wasn't scared at all, but then again, I've read the book and saw the original film, so I kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah.
That said, it was very well acted. I thought the kids in particular did an outstanding job of acting it, and I was very, very, very happy with the film.
I haven't seen it because I don't like scary movies. I'm not a big scary movie guy. I didn't see the original It until I was already in my teens. I was 13. It was my 13th birthday. It was middle of the night. Me and a whole bunch of friends watched It and then proceeded to not sleep for the rest of the night.
Stephen King will do that to you with his books and his films. That's kind of par for the course.
Yeah. I held off on a lot of stuff from Stephen King, although the one The Shining also was another one that messed me up for days.
Oh, yeah.
And then ultimately Pet Sematary, I think, is the scariest one for me. And here's the thing, it has nothing to do with the pet or the cemetery.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
It's the sister who had spinal meningitis, which is a totally normal and real disease.
Yeah.
That scared the hell out of me. And she's like, "Feed me, Zelda." And she's all like gnarly and like, she comes out of the bed and comes up to Denise Crosby and she's like, "Feed me, Zelda." And I'm like,
yeah. The thing that got me was the young boy that got hit by the semi. That was a little too disturbing for me. I had to leave after that. I'm like, I can't do it.
Didn't bother me at all.
Can't do it.
Rolled right through that.
Nope.
Plus, it's the kid from Kindergarten Cop. it's the boys have a penis, girls have a vagina kid.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Which immediately, like as soon as I saw it was that kid, I was like, this is nothing that kid will do will scare me.
Fair enough.
He slices off somebody's Achilles tendon later. Doesn't freak me out that much at all because in my head, boys have a penis and I'm like, and I don't. It's nothing you do is scary. So kind of in the same way that I'm watching Denise Crosby and I'm like, oh look, it's Tasha Yar from Star Trek. And it also, those two roles immediately didn't let me, because normally they like to cast unknowns in scary movies.
Right.
Because if you know the actors super well, it takes you out of it a little bit. You need to feel like they're vulnerable. But I haven't seen it. I probably will at some point. All right, moving on with the news. Next little bit of news, Matt Damon's got a new movie that he's developing and going to be coming out with shortly. This is interesting. This is actually a movie about the original cures for impotence. So before Viagra and Cialis and all the wonderful pills that we all now enjoy came out into the market, and we could watch all those great commercials where people who look an awfully lot like our dad are sitting in a tub, and we just know what they're thinking about. Before all that happened, we had these miracle cures and these wonder elixirs that were sold by con men, basically.
Snake oil and the like.
Snake oil, yes. Flim flam artists. And Matt Damon is going to be playing one of these men in a movie. Specifically, he's going to be playing a doctor his cure for impotence was that he took goat testicles and surgically implanted them within the gentleman's body. So
he was an actual doctor.
He was an actual doctor, and he actually would perform a surgical procedure where you would now be walking around with 4 instead of 2. Which, I mean, here's the thing. Sometimes it's crowded just with the 2.
Yeah.
So, no. It's like what's that old terrible Confucius joke? Did Confucius say, man with 4 balls, not walk? It's a bad baseball joke. Terribly racist. Anyway, yes. So this is what he did. This was an actual medical procedure that men had done, was they were given goat testicles, and they were told the goat testicles would inspire more vitality.
So we have him to blame for baggy jeans, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, basically that's what's going on. So, and Matt Damon's going to be playing this guy. He is choosing some odd roles lately.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's past his pretty boy phase a while ago. I'm really digging on the direction of his career is going. It's a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
And you just, it's very unpredictable. I like that.
He's got one coming out next month that I'm really excited about too, called Suburbicon, where he plays a man who is in basically a insurance scam. He killed his wife for the insurance money, and he and his sister are trying to collect and it's a very dark comedy, it looks like, but it looks really funny. I'm super into that one too. I'm like you said, I'm liking these choices he's making to get off the beaten path. All right, on to the movie review for this week. We're going to be talking about Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Now this is the movie. This is the sequel to the movie Kingsman: The Secret Service that came out a couple years back. This is written and directed by Matthew Vaughn, based on a comic book by Mark Miller. Mark Miller, the guy who also created the comic books for Kick-Ass, quite a few other great kind of comic book titles out there. The first movie, I got to say, I loved it. I really feel like the first movie kind of fit into that notch. I grew up as a kid watching James Bond movies in the 90s. I liked Pierce Brosnan. He was my Bond. And I liked that it was cartoony. I liked all the cheesy one-liners. I loved all the gadgets. I loved all the nonsense that was going on. And when Daniel Craig came in and replaced him, all that went out the window, and now we get this serious, brooding spy Bond. And I like that too, but I miss my wackiness.
Yeah, you got that. The silly has a bit of an appeal to it. And the Bond films, it's like they had their serious moments. They pretty much stayed on point with their mission, but the little comedic, interludes were pretty awesome also.
Absolutely.
It made it.
I think those are great. And I think Kingsman has stepped into that niche, and they're now doing that over-the-top crazy spy stuff. So in the first one, we had all the crazy gadgets. We had the umbrella that's also bulletproof and X-ray vision and fires shotgun shells. And you could kick the crap out of a room full of guys with that. The shoe with the knife in it.
Yes.
Which, holy crap, I love a shoe with a knife in it.
In
any movie.
Yeah, I want one in life. I do.
Yeah.
Just for annoying
I wouldn't use it to hurt people. I would, but all the normal things that you might need a knife for. Say I'm somewhere and I need a screwdriver for some reason. I'll pop it out of my shoe. I'll take my shoe off. I'm willing to look less cool as long as I can have a knife in my shoe. It'd be hell getting it through the airport, but
indeed.
Yeah, no, it's but I love that stuff. All those little gadgets. So that was that one, and then of course it had the villain who wants to kill almost everybody in the world. Vast ramifications of his actions, and of course it ends with the hero saying, "I'm going to go save the world,"
right?
And then he goes and does. So in the second movie, we get a lot of that again. We get a lot of the gadgets. We get a lot of the save the world rhetoric. The villain again wants to kill millions of people for really little to no reason other than money. It's what she wants to do.
Money, greed.
Money, greed,
notoriety.
Sure. Notoriety. Yeah. That's right. It was fame.
Yes.
She wanted fame.
Yes.
She said. So yeah, it wasn't that big a deal, and of course we get the cool villain with this one who has the robotic arm.
Oh man, forget the shoe. Forget the shoe. I want that arm.
You want the robotic?
I want the robotic arm. Just just if nothing else, nothing will stand in my way ever.
Yeah.
Plus,
and with the robotic arm, he could actually shoot his hand out, and it had a little almost like a little grappling hook, and he could then grab stuff and bring it back to him. I would like that just so I don't have to get up off the couch for stuff.
Oh yeah, it's remote control too. So like if I wanted to walk it to get a beer or something, I'm good to go.
You go get a beer, go have it make you. It's like, hand, go make me a sandwich, and then shoot it into the other room, and it goes and makes you a sandwich and brings it back.
Off you go.
That sounds awesome to me. Yeah, but a lot of people are already poo-pooing this second movie. They're saying that it's the plot is unrealistic, that it was far-fetched, that bringing back the
Henry, right?
Henry, yeah. From Harry.
Harry.
Bringing back Harry from the first movie is far-fetched, and it doesn't make sense. To me, I'm saying that's exactly what I was looking for.
We were asked, a lot was asked of the audience in the believability factors in a lot of ways. The ways you mentioned, physics.
Oh,
the physics in the fight were just...
So in the very opening scene, which you see this in the trailer, there's this great car chase, and my wife is already like ludicrous. Like she's already like, come on, and she's getting mad at me.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, what'd you expect? It's a spy movie. I mean, they're driving down the road, he's hanging onto the car, and the door's flailing open, and he just does this like little push-up and flies into the air and lands on the hood of the car.
Sticks the landing,
yeah. And he's in and out of the car, and he's fighting with the guy, and there's just all kinds of nonsense going on, and I had no problems with any of it. I was totally fine. It didn't bother me a wick.
I noticed it. It was very, very evident. It was hard not to notice it, but I was highly entertained by it at the same time.
Exactly.
You don't see a movie like this just to go, oh yeah, well that wouldn't have happened. They would have just No, I was entertained by it. It was fun. It was a fun ride.
It's the sequel to a movie where a woman had knives for feet.
Yes.
And so that's the level I'm going into this with. This is the sequel to a movie where a woman had knives for feet. They got to top that. I'm sure they're going to, and they do. And there's robot dogs, and there's Elton John. And
Elton John. I mean, oh my goodness.
So when Elton John has his big crazy moment in the movie, I feel like I was the only person who laughed out loud in the theater.
Oh my goodness.
Because it happens, and I went, ha! And my wife just looks right at me, and I was like, am I the only one that... Elton John ninja kicked somebody.
He did. Here's the thing. I thought Elton John was just going to be a cameo. I thought he was just going to be window dressing. And I'm not going to spoil anything when he does or anything, but he was such a big part of this film, and every scene he was in, he stole it.
He does.
Not to the point where it distracted from the film. He was in it just enough to where, there was only a few moments that he was in, but every moment he was in was just a major WTF moment.
Lends a lot of his songs to the soundtrack of the film, which absolutely worked and helped things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff like, what day is it?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to spoil.
Yeah.
Elton John made that film for me, and it was a great film. It was a great ride, but Elton John was the frosting on the cake.
He takes it to a whole nother level.
Yes, he does.
And of course, Julianne Moore's playing the bad guy. She does a killer job.
Yes.
Taron Egerton playing the hero again. Eggsy does a solid job too. There were a couple cameos by we get to meet now the British spies were the Kingsmen. We get to meet the American spy version who are statesmen.
Yes.
And it's Channing Tatum, and the leader is Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
And then I believe his name's Pablo Pascal is the one who played Whiskey. He's from the Netflix series Narcos. He plays Pablo Escobar in that. And they all do a great job. They all kind of filled their niche. A lot of people were bummed though that they didn't get more of Channing Tatum. They didn't get more of Halle Berry.
Halle Berry was very buttoned down.
And they didn't get more of Jeff Bridges. I would argue that you didn't get more of them because those people are busy and cost a lot of money. They were really there to fill those roles.
Right.
I don't think you would have. I mean, more of them would have lessened, I think, the overall arc of the movie.
Well, I mean,
So,
the cast was pretty crowded. There was a
Yeah.
lot of
and
people.
a lot of that is clearly setting things up for a third one,
Yes.
which already greenlit, already happening.
I'm going.
Yeah, I'm totally into it too. Yeah, especially with the way that it ended, and we get to know that. Oh yes. So here's the thing: if you wish there had been more of Channing Tatum, come back for the third one, because there's going to be more Channing Tatum. At the one of my favorite things, and this is also in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, is the Channing Tatum dancing scene. In the movie, one of the things that's happening, that everyone is threatened by this kind of disease or something like that, and one of the symptoms is manic dancing, and Channing Tatum is infected, so you get to see the fun Channing Tatum dancing. Really good. Although I gotta say, for somebody who used to be a stripper and who did so well in Magic Mike, very subdued in this one.
He was.
Sticks very much within the character of the country western guy.
He did. He
Definitely
did.
looked like he was doing some line dancing and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he owned that role very well. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, great stuff from him. Overall, yeah, I really liked it. I like where this franchise is still going. I really liked Mark Strong, who played Merlin in the movie. I thought he did a great job.
Yes.
Really great use of the soundtrack. With there's some great, as we go to meet the American statesman, we get some John Denver songs in the soundtrack, which is fun.
Oh yeah. Overall, I mean, it was smart but mindless, and it's very hard to pull that off, but they did it. And they did a fantastic job.
And that's exactly how I feel. Like, to me, it's on the same level that I love the current crop of Fast and Furious movies. This is right kind of in that wheelhouse. If anything, though, smarter and better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I put this. I talked to one of the guys in our booth, mentioned that he loved the scene from the first one at the church where there's just complete wanton violence and everybody's just going nuts. Mm-hmm. There's at least 3 scenes like that in this movie.
Yeah.
So if you liked that, absolutely see the second one, because there is some amazing stuff. I mean, you see some of it in the trailer too. The final raid on the temple thing, some amazing stuff.
Yeah, you will not be bored. There's not a single boring thing happening in this.
That was Kings with the Golden Circle. Out of 10, what would you give it?
8.5.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, you went higher than I did. I did enjoy it. I was going to say about 6.5, 7. Just because, like we said, it is kind of mindless, but still super enjoyable.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd probably land on about a 7.
Elton John took it up half a star by himself. I'm going to say that.
I can give you that. He did a really good job. That was really good stuff. I definitely recommend seeing it. It sounds like you definitely recommend seeing it. So Kingsman the Golden Circle, go check that out. We're now playing Does It Matter? Here we go. All right, so Does It Matter? Marvel Inhumans. Inhumans is Marvel's new TV show. They did a bigger push. They've done a couple TV shows on network television, and so far the reviews for their TV shows have been fairly mixed. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. barely got a second season. It's improved since then and done pretty well. And then Marvel's Netflix shows have all done really well. But on actual network television, not Netflix, but actually network, they haven't had a huge track record, not like DC, where DC now has, like, the entire CW network, I think, is just nothing but DC comic TV shows. So Marvel's now trying to get more shows on the air, and the one they pushed with was Inhumans. They've been laying the groundwork for that on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where several characters are Inhumans. And they really push for it, and they're doing all the big Inhuman characters. And instead of just putting it out on television, they released it to theaters in an IMAX. Specifically in IMAX theaters. They put it out on September 1st. Here's the problem. Nobody went and saw it. And I don't mean like nobody, but almost basically nobody. To the point that the following week, It, which had already been out for, I think, a week or so at the time, completely replaced it. They just bailed on Inhumans completely, kicked it out of the theater, and brought in It. Which makes sense because it's making a pile of money and Inhumans didn't. So because of that, Marvel has gone to the extra step and said, show's already canceled. We've done our 13 episodes, which was the original order, but after that, the show's done. And this is kind of a big deal because the cast in this show are actually kind of like actors that were big-time actors. The lead playing Black Bolt was the guy from Hell on Wheels. One of the other guys was just finished up his run on Game of Thrones, where he played the guy who ended up cutting off Theon's dong, and he was really Ramsay. He played Ramsay on Game of Thrones. He was super scary in that. And then also Ken Leung, who I've seen in Rush Hour and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I mean, the show has the chops, has people in it. I haven't seen it yet because it hasn't even aired. But I mean, what does that mean? That Marvel, as good as they're doing in the movie world, has now canceled a show before it even airs. I mean, does this matter, or does the strength of their movies just wash it all out?
You know, the movies do so darn well. It honestly doesn't matter. You know, they all they got to do is just like fart out another summer blockbuster, and they can just forget that this ever happened.
Which they're going to in about 2 months. No, about a month and a half now. We're about a month and a half away from Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok's going to make about 600, 700 million.
Yeah.
And then who cares about Inhumans? Yeah, I definitely get that. And then, I mean, here's the deal. After Thor, we're getting a Marvel movie about every 3 months. So we got Thor in November. February, we get Black Panther. May, we get Avengers. And then later on that year, I think we get, is it Captain Marvel maybe? Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the movies that they've got coming out and the track record that they've got. I mean, so far, they are 2 for 2 this year in making great movies.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Spider-Man Homecoming were 2 of the best movies of the summer. And technically, money-wise, I know Wonder Woman made more money here in the States, but worldwide, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was the #1 movie of the summer.
Yeah.
So, I think their movie track record kind of washes over this blip in the TV run. It's the rough part of it, too. Their Netflix shows aren't bulletproof.
Right.
Iron Fist was weak.
Very weak.
And Defenders, while I liked it, was not universally loved.
Right.
So, it's, I mean, interesting to note, too, the guy who was the showrunner for Iron Fist, also the showrunner for Inhumans.
Well.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from Marvel's big problem to now the problem with comedies. Comedies this year are kind of tanking at the box office, with only 1 comedy released so far this year, even entering the top 20 in terms of money for movies made this year, and that was Girls' Night. There's been quite a few comedies that have come out, and to me, I've noticed this trend for a while now, where the comedies that are coming out are being universally hated by fans. Really not since Bridesmaids has there been a comedy that people liked and made money. I mean, what's going on? Is stuff just not funny anymore?
You know, the world the last few years has just become a really jaded place. It's really, really hard to find any sort of entertainment in any genre where, you know, something is guaranteed to make you laugh. A lot of the I see a lot of stand-up comedy everywhere. A lot of the stuff is politically charged.
Yeah.
Very mean, very, very mean-spirited, and that's the type of stuff these days that is making people laugh. So when you get like a nice, fluffy, happy comedy, it's not going to resonate with anybody.
And the ones they've been trying to make this year, like the gross out, raunchy, R-rated things, those aren't really working either.
They're not, and you know people are. I don't know if they're just expecting more from a comedy than they have in the past.
I think that might be part of it.
Yeah.
I think the Marvel movies, because you could make the argument that every Marvel movie is on some level of comedy.
Yeah.
Like there are jokes in every single Marvel movie. Spider-Man especially. Deadpool had tons.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man especially and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, both very funny movies.
Yes.
And I think now, and this might be part of it too, it might be the age of one genre of your movie, that might be out the window.
Yeah.
So the idea that a movie is just an action movie or just a comedy or just a... I think that might be out the window too, that every new movie now needs to be one of these hybrids.
Right.
That it needs to be action comedy or the dramedy that was so popular 5-6 years ago. I think that's definitely part of it. I do have hope though in the fact that Saturday Night Live has actually had one of its best years ever in terms of ratings. They've won more Emmys this year than ever before, including an Emmy for best sketch show, best late night show. Alec Baldwin won an Emmy for his portrayal of Donald Trump. Kate McKinnon won an Emmy. So for the fact that it's got 2 cast members winning an Emmy in the same year, never has happened before. The show itself won an Emmy for best late night show, which is almost never happens. And then the new category, best sketch show, which thank God they finally added that as a category, because there's great sketch stuff every year, and usually they get overshadowed because they have to compete against The Daily Show and
Right,
Colbert Report and all the other late night talk shows.
Yeah.
So I think comedy's coming back, but I think you're right, though. I mean, if we think about that, Alec Baldwin wins an Emmy, he plays Trump. Kate McKinnon wins an Emmy, she plays Hillary.
Yeah, it all goes
so
back
politically charged.
It all goes back to like real world stuff.
Yeah.
And just people aren't laughing at fart jokes anymore, It's
Which
just
is a bummer because farts are so funny,
They
guys.
are. I thought they were timeless. I guess I'm being
What if it was a big fart and then, well, you have to poop in the street? I think you have to poop in the street. I mean, Bridesmaids taught us that's where that's where fart jokes go now. You have to take them to the top. You have to be pooping in the street, otherwise you're not even showing up to the table. You got to come correct, and you got to poop in the street.
The only way poop is going to make you laugh anymore is if Donald Trump poops during a speech.
That would be great.
On the podium.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Although here's the thing, I think he'd brag about it. He'd be like, hey everybody, I just pooped my pants. It's one of the best poops in the world. It's a lot of people poop their pants, but they don't poop their pants like me. I really filled my trousers. There's at least 5 pounds of dung back there. It is premium, grade A. Make America poop again. I'm doing it. That's how I think he
Failing
would.
Failing Hillary Clinton's bowels would not do what I did. Sad.
Yes. We're gonna take my poop and we're gonna build a wall. It's gonna be amazing. All right.
And Mexico will pay for it.
Last little piece here. Technically, I had Mexican food, and I'm pretty sure that contributed, so it's their fault.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Okay, well, that is the show for this week. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about the show, issues with the show, or you'd like to be a host like Jason was this week, you can give me an email. It's bigbms@zoho.com. That's bigbms@zoho.com. If you like what I had to say and want to hear more of what I have to say, I do talk even more than this. I've got a podcast called Die Hard on a Blank. You can check that out. To find it, you got to search the Geek Wars Podcast Network, where you'll find my podcast, Die Hard on a Blank, as well as Dackless Weekly, which is a weekly podcast that is a day in the life of a young trans lady here in town. Very, very interesting, moving stuff, watching how she just deals with everyday life. So you can check that out. Again, it's the Geek Wars Podcast Network. Jason, anything you'd like to plug? Anything they can find you at?
Absolutely. October 29th is the Hank Duke Good Time Variety Hour, the Hankenstein's Monster Edition. That's at the Maltese. Sunday, October 29th at 9 p.m., sponsored by my friends at Gnarly Deli.
Gnarly Deli. I like Gnarly Deli. So that's all in Chico, by the way.
Yes.
That's Chico, California. Yes. So if you're not in California or you're not in Chico, like if you're watching this on the internet, you can't come to that. I mean, please do. If you fly to that, we'll buy you a sandwich or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You will be fed.
I'll go and guarantee it right now. If you come from out of state to that show, they will give you a free sandwich.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. And I have not agreed with that. I haven't checked with them at all. I'm just assuming, because the Gnarly Deli people are amazing, and I think they would do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. Check back with us next week. We're going to be talking about a movie. I'm blanking on the movie, but we're going to talk. It's an interesting movie, and I'm hoping to get Justin Bryan in here from back in the Aberrant Behaviors days. You can look around on Aberrant Behaviors on the internet. You can find videos of him, so he's great too. Thanks so much for watching. This was a great show. It was an awesome show, and I want to thank Jason Allen because I think he's the reason that it was awesome. Thank you so much for doing it.
Stop you. Thank you, man.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.